It is officially that time of year again where we wrap up everything I made for 2022. Personally, I feel like I had a very slow paced year for my makes. I feel like I was still on the come down of the previous years and everything that had happened, and I just wanted to have fun, honestly. A lot of the times that didn't involve being stuck at home and sewing, or was I just procrastinating? Honestly, probably a mixture of both. In saying that, I don't think I made as much stuff as the previous year. I think it was good to actually listen what my body and my mind needed, and slowing down has actually made me excited to keep going this year. I feel like if I had to push myself to get everything done that I wanted to, I would have probably just burnt out and then not enjoyed sewing again. Right, let's jump into the fun part of trying everything on. If there are any details that you want to find out more about, or if you want to recreate it yourself, I'll link all the videos for each of the tutorials or sew-alongs that I have. First up is this very bright and bold combo. I think this was actually the first make of the year, and it was a thrift flip. So I think I grabbed a caftan and then another dress. I trimmed majority of the top of the dress off and left a little bit of a channel that could then meet up and fold around this circular piece in the middle, and then this is the top of the caftan where I just simply chopped off the bottom. In the video where I talk about the details, there is the option to take it in and do the elastic back on the top as I've done on the bottom. Personally, I just wanted more of a relaxing fit, and I liked the look of it being all flowing on top. The sewing itself isn't very challenging. It was just a few little key measurements that I had to find, and then some hems pretty much that I had to finish off. I guess the only roadblock would be is trying to find two-piece that you can turn into this. Otherwise, if you're game enough, you could start from scratch and create the top and the bottom of the skirt. I feel like this number comes out whenever I want to have a cute little dinner somewhere, or I'm feeling a bit more vibrant, but because it is so loud, it definitely isn't an essential or go-to, if that makes sense. But I feel like it's nice to have those little bolder pieces that you can wear for special occasions, and that is exactly what this is. I'm thinking I might do it in categories, so I might stick to dresses. Right, here we go from the first make of the year to the very last make of the year. This little number was in my mind for so long. I feel like that's going to be the common theme of this year. I think I was just overthinking lots of things, and then I would never actually start on a project. I had this material, a friend was selling it on Marketplace or Insta, I can't remember. It is just an old tablecloth. It's kind of a seersucker cotton, which gives it this beautiful waffle detail finish, and then it makes it nice and lightweight and flowy. So as soon as I saw it, I always envisioned it to be a very flowy dress, aka this style. Instead of just a back and a front panel, I wanted to have two front and two back panels, and that way each of them could slightly go out and give it this nice little comfy feel. And by having the 4 panels and the center seam on each of them, that meant that I could experiment with this lower V dip at the front, and of course the classic old puffy sleeves. I feel like they just add a bit of character. This material is nice and casual, so I still feel like I can wear this to the beach or in a casual setting, but if I want to, I can easily dress it up. Because it is quite an older material, it is a bit delicate, and there's already a few little holes that I've had to kind of keep my eye on in case I accidentally rip them and make them larger. I feel like it was a pretty straightforward make. I enjoyed the process, love the outcome. She's a classic essential. I still feel like I want to recreate this in a darker material. Then that can be the more elevated version, whereas this is the more fun, poppy, casual version. I feel so grown up and elegant in this dress. I don't even know how to describe this. This one is, I guess, bodycon / fitted rib knit dress. I made it as a set, so you'll see the top half of it in a second. Obviously I can wear it on its own. A standalone cute dress. I feel like this one you'd probably want a little bit of sewing experience with sleeves, just because there are a few key measuring points that you kind of want to get right. You see a lot of the finishing lines that you sew. You want it to look nice and clean. Getting something to fit your body can just be a little bit of trial and error, so having a bit of experience can just help you better understand how it's going to come together, or at least what needs to change. But the benefit of using a knit does help it just stretch where it needs to. In saying that though, I haven't found myself really going to wear this dress just as a top go-to. I think because it is so fitted, I've really got to be feeling good about myself. Today I've got my period and I feel a little bit bloated, and I'm just I don't know, wearing it right now, I'm I don't feel my best in this. I find that with a lot of knitted, fitted pieces. Personally, I'm just not a fitted gal. I like it for certain things, but I mean as in I'm not the person, that's not top of my list. So I'm normally wearing free flowing stuff. And not that you can't feel good and bloated in a tight dress, but it's just personal preference. I have been tempted to potentially chop this off so I can still wear it as a 2-piece. And then maybe this becomes more of a midi skirt that I can wear with oversized tees, and therefore it will suit my style more. This is beautiful, but is formal, and I'm just not a formal girl. Even if I cropped it and made it small, you don't need to throw out pieces, you can just rethink them. The next few pieces aren't really made from scratch. They're either thrift flips that I did throughout the year that I just didn't capture because they were just little changes, but in hindsight should have captured them because it was just fun either way, or they are edits to pieces that I already have, so I'll talk you through that. So this was a thrifted I guess like trench coat jacket style. Loved the color, the silhouette's kind of like a suede finish, and the vision that I had for it was a straight jacket. I added these 2 contour darts down the back which helped cinch it in, and I think also took it a little bit in the side seam. So that again was just a bit of a trial and error process. I think that's another block I have. I feel like I always need to present something that I know that I'm doing, whereas a lot of the time I'm just like going into it being like, I guess I'll just try this and see how it turns out. And for this, that was very much that process. And back then I thought I had to be perfect. And eventually I got to a point where it was fitting good, so I stopped there. The bottom edge, it was just a straight regular jacket finish. And I thought by adding a bit more of like a curve up around the edges, it just makes it look a little bit more of like a dress rather than literally just a jacket. So again, I just like trimmed it to where I wanted it to, making sure I had a bit of seam allowance added, and then just did a rolled hem. Rolled hem or bias? No, I did some bias binding on the bottom. And then because of the jacket style, you find a lot of the times that the bottom section just like kind of opens up. I did so from the last button down to the bottom, securing it in place so it obviously doesn't open up and expose. Sadly no video, but hopefully some tips or ideas that can help you think about envisioning some different ways that you could wear or upcycle something. This dress, again, I cannot claim to have made from scratch. It is thrifted. The only change that I made is I cut out this circle here and then added a drawstring effect. Last year I'd just seen a few of those styles going around where they had this like cinched in gathered look to it and like the little cute cutout vibe. So when I saw this dress, I liked the material, I liked the general fit of it, and I just thought this could add a little bit more character. So one night before we went to a wedding, I just decided to cut a hole out of it and add a drawstring in. And I think I was very stressed at the time, so obviously I didn't pick up the camera and film it. So unfortunately, again, there is no video for this one. But now that I've kind of got a better idea of how to do it, maybe I can do another one on this side or keep an eye out for something else that I want to zhuzh up like this. I don't know, personally I enjoy seeing someone go through the ebbs and flows of figuring it out. And I forget that I am also a human and I am imperfect, and it's good to share all those little moments. So hopefully I can do a bit more of that this year when I have ideas. Don't be so scared to like capture the imperfect journey of getting to the point where I think I should. Again, I feel like this is a very like occasion dress, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I can whip it out every now and then, or maybe there are ways like shortening it that makes it a little bit more casual, therefore I can wear it more times in between, but that's something I need to figure out. Yeah, so let this dress be a reminder that 2023, we're all going to come out and be imperfect, show the journey of getting to who we want to be or where we want to be. That's my little inspiration take from this dress. This dress I actually have made from scratch, although it is a lot different compared to the original video that I shared. This was my brown linen slip dress, and it has the front split. So obviously it used to sit up like that, and it had straps that tied up at the top there. I found that it just sat in my wardrobe and was never the top of the list of my go-tos, and I feel like that is just the indicator that maybe things need to change. Like, I want a wardrobe where I open it and I go, wow, I've got so many potentials. What should I wear today? Instead, I feel like I open it sometimes and I'm like, I feel like I like all these things individually, but I can't really think of an outfit right now. Or maybe I've like outgrown the style, or the fit just doesn't fit my body. I let it like kind of sit around for a little bit before I dove into making any changes, and then I kept seeing these type of style of tops that had this little front folded over section. I don't know the style or what that detail is called. A simple thing that I do if I want to change something is I will literally just throw it on and kind of just start like pretending to like tuck something in or pull it up, or yeah, I got to the point where I started folding it down and I was like, light bulb moment, I can take the straps out and then do this kind of style. It was a bit more of a boxier fit as a slip dress, so again I just took it in a little bit on the sides and then added those contour darts again down the back. I feel like that is a common thread throughout this. I didn't film the steps for this, so I've got something else that I need to add some contour darts to, so I will make sure to film that and share it for you guys so that you don't have to be in the dark about how to do it. I was only able to take it in an amount that I can still slip it on. The scenes of me trying to put this on is like some double jointed scene where I'm trying to like squeeze through it. So I eventually want to unpick this side and add a zip in there, and then even be able to take it in a little bit more so it fits even more snug and nicer. But yes, I was limited for time. Once again, threw it together one evening before going out to dinner and had to stick to the slip-on style. I do really enjoy this style, so maybe I can think of a way to make it from scratch and also show you guys, because I feel like it's a classic. Endless options. It got very hot the other day and I decided to go for a swim, and now it is a few days later, so that's a nice little intermission, and now we can jump to the tops. And first up I have this gathered style crop top. A friend popped over and she was like, I want to recreate this style, so we did a bit of experimenting and this came to life. I've previously done gathered style tops like this before, and they've been created using a shirring thread, whereas this one we just use just a bit of elastic and stretched it out in the places where you can see that it gathers in. I think that helps give a bit more of these like intentional gathered lines. And personally, I find elastic is just a bit more reliable in holding its stretch and also just staying in place. The shirring pieces that I've made over the years, especially when you're doing it in the bust area or in areas that you're relying on it to like hold it in place, the stretch and elastane just becomes a bit looser over time, and that's why we played around with this and was so happy with how it turned out. In fact, I was so happy that when I went to an op shop, I found this dress which I chopped the top sleeves off and then did the elastic gathered effect. So it's pretty much just a dress version, and I kind of wanted to experiment with these first before I did a tutorial. So currently, I'm pretty sure as this video comes out, there's no video for it, but it's on my list to recreate, so keep an eye out for it. Once I do get around to it, I'll add it to the list of links below. I think I'm just really going through a phase of being into boob tube / bandeau tops. You can style them with pants, skirts, you can even layer them up with like jackets and stuff over the top, so I'm really into that. Here's a quick preview of the dress version. I feel like essentially it just started as a longer box, and then by adding the elastic in it, pulled it up at the top, and now it just flows out at the bottom. Very cute. I feel like this style and this pattern is a very like cutesy picnic dress, and I'm not mad about it. So this top, as you can tell, is a tank top, and I was really enjoying those thick binding finishes that were going around last year, so I thought, why not make my own? I did it in a combo video with the next top I'm going to show you. They're both experimenting with making smaller garments out of maybe leftover material from previous projects, or just like, you know, smaller amounts of material so it's cheaper and easier and you can utilize what is laying around. This is made using a rib knit material, and I think it was probably one of my first projects that I experimented with the rib knit style, and I loved it. I'm hooked. It's actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I think in particular because this is 100% organic cotton, so it doesn't have elastane or extra stretch, which is normally what makes a knitted material a bit harder. I love it. It's honestly such an essential. I've been wearing it all day previously to filming this video, and it's just a great throw on. Style it up, style it down, the dream. As I mentioned before, this top is also a part of the like scrap fabric projects. I think this material is literally left over from my wrap dress, which you might remember. It's quite an easy assemble. It's just essentially a bunch of rectangles joined together. It has the shirred elastic back, this normal flat front, and then these little tie pieces that come and meet at the front. But the benefit of having these tie pieces is you can play around with where it sits. Obviously at the moment I've got it meeting at the front. I could then also push it to the back, just have the simple front section, or I can even spin it around and have the shirring bit at the front. I can also tie this up and do a bit of like a bandeau style. I think that was the big appeal of this top. It's one piece that was simple to assemble, but I can wear it in like 3 different ways. So we love that, especially if you're traveling and you want one garment that can be worn multiple ways, and then you only have to pack that one small thing. So good. This is one of the 2 turtlenecks that I created last year, and I made them pretty much like the week, if not days before we went to New Zealand. They were an absolute godsend, especially over there, and then even just general around here. You can wear them on their own. They're so fun to layer on top of, like if I've got a slip dress or overalls or something like that, or even like a vest over the top of this. Just, as we know, a great essential. What was this? I think this was the, what's that sheep? What's the sheep das that they make warm clothes out of? It's merino wool, and it's honestly so good. I found this quite easy to sew with. Win-win all round. I've never made a top like this, so it was very experimental. I think I made this one first. The neck is a little bit wider, and then you'll see with the second one that I made it a little bit tighter, which is like the adjustment that I personally wanted. These sleeves are nice and tight fitted, so it can be a bit more of a simple layerer as well as just on its own. The thing I love about knitted material is a lot of the times you don't have to hem the edge. Obviously you can if you want a cleaner finish, but generally knitted material doesn't fray. So it'll just do a cute little roll up or just sit on its own, and as a lazy sewer I just love leaving it as it is. But I also do aesthetically like the look as well. One thing I want to try and experiment with this year is the lettuce hem, so where you stretch it out and you zigzag stitch it or overlock it, and then it creates that beautiful like wavy finish. I think I've got some leftover material of this that I want to play around in that style. I'll show you the next one. And then this is the second one. So the difference with this is I experimented with a bit more of like a bell sleeve effect, so it's got a bit more of a flow, which I think is a bit fun, especially if you just want to wear it on its own. It can be like its own little statement piece. And as I mentioned before, this one has a bit more of like a tighter neckline, which I think sits nicer. Yeah, at least I can note that for next time. So if I ever do go recreate it, I can now at least know that this is what I prefer. I'm so excited for it to get colder again so I can start wearing these. I feel like last time when I was wearing these I had longer hair, so now I can thrive with the shorter hair and really show off all the details up here. Speaking of, it's way too hot to be wearing this, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So this is the top that goes with the dress. It's made out of the same ribbed knit material. It was really into the whole like ultra cropped jumper slash top slash whatever that vibe was last year. I enjoy this together. The only thing is, because of the cut and the material, I do find this is quite limited to styling with other pieces. I have tried to layer it up with like button-up shirts and then other stuff, but yeah, really got to be intentional with what I pair it with. So again, it's not like top of the list go-to, because you've got to put a little bit more effort into it. But that's my thought process. If I end up cutting this in half and this turns into a crop top, then I can pair this more together with like jeans, trousers, skirts, and make more outfits with it, rather than it just being limited to be worn with this dress. So yeah, it's on the list of potentials. Again, I don't think it's like a super hard or advanced make, but there are just a lot of steps and little details to make it look nice. So again, having a few projects up your sleeve just might help you in like streamlining and knowing how to do those finishing details. So yes, I still love, there's so much potential, but maybe just a little bit rejigging so I can have it more as a go-to rather than just like a special occasion. I think this is the last of the DIY garments, and it is this long sleeve kind of like meshy see-through top that I made from upcycling a thrifted scarf. It was definitely challenging because a scarf, as we all know, is a very limited amount of material. So in saying that, I had to kind of cut some corners with the fit of it. The armholes, when I lift up, kind of make the whole thing lift up, but it's not that big of a deal. I just have to adjust it a little bit here and there. If I had more material, I probably would have made it more in line with like the turtlenecks that I just showed you, and then it would fit a little bit nicer. But I'm still so obsessed with it. I feel this material is just the hero. It makes it so fun being this textured, I don't even know what you would call it. It's like in between the look of shirring and kind of seersucker. It must be through like the engineering of the fabric itself, and it's just fun. A bit of wash dye color. I feel like whenever I wear this, it's a bit of like a statement. It can go simply with jeans, but it will make it a little bit more fun. I've also worn it with my DIY silk bias skirt and some trousers. It's something you can easily recreate, especially if you do just follow the turtleneck tutorial and then just don't do the turtleneck finish up here. One of probably my favorite creations of last year, personally. Before we jump into the DIY accessories, I thought I could throw in some extra little things that I made that maybe aren't, I guess, sewing things. So last year I collaborated with a fellow sewing enthusiast, label creator, and sustainable consultant, and we brought to life a fabric essentials ebook. Now, I am, as you know, just a home DIYer. I have very much learnt on the go, and by having her on board, she was able to bring so much of the knowledge about the fiber sourcing, the productions, all the different types of weaving and knitting, and just ways that fabrics are formed. We even included tips of more ways that you could be a bit more conscious in the way that you source your fabric, as well as just general terms that you might want to know if you are in this world, especially if you are tuning into videos and tutorials and you're like, what does that mean? We've got that all in that book, so I'll link that below as well if you're curious to find out more about that. And then as well, I think last year was a big home DIY year, so I did things like the wall behind me. I upcycled some things from the op shop, like candle holders, mirrors, oyster decorations, our new bench seat. I was looking around, what else did we do? The desk in our office. So I feel like even though I didn't do as much sewing, I experimented with other areas, and it was really fun. I think after spending those like 2 years kind of locked in around home, it was nice to personalize it and change it up a bit so it felt a bit more fresher rather than just like the same stuff that we've been seeing. And I think it was a very practical sewing year, because even though I didn't sew as much, it made me think about and consider more of what I actually was creating and put more time and thought into that. So a good blessing in disguise looking in hindsight. I think prior to this year, I haven't really experimented too much with accessories, so I was really excited to delve into this. I think especially if you are a beginner sewer, these are perfect projects to start on, because you're not having to work on making it fit your form. It gives you the chance to practice your sewing skills, because it's just a matter of generally sewing straight lines and working on joining edges together and finishing it with certain hems and stuff like that. So maybe add some of them to your list if you would like. This is the first bag that I attempted. If you watch my Fashion Week vlog, you can see that I'm literally hand stitching this like hours before I go to an event. So that was very stressful, but very fun. I did end up going back and just making it a little bit more functional and aesthetically pleasing in real life by adding some lining and just making a few of the edges a bit stronger so they're not just relying on my hand stitching. Again, this is such a little statement piece to a simple outfit. It's made out of this beautiful textured wool, and I think that helps give it a bit more of an oomph, and as well the color. And then when I recreated it to share the tutorial, I also again went with the wool. I think I just like this in a thicker texture, but I have also seen people recreate this in a nice simple linen, and I think that's great if you want like a daily number as well. So don't think that you need to have to go for like a thicker statement piece. But yes, this one, same style, it's got that knot finish around the handle. I did experiment with the bigger size just because I thought this could be more of a daily, whereas this is more of like an occasion number. Features the lining. I did end up adding pockets into this one. Some people have designer bags. I have essentials bags. The next few things I'm about to show you are all within the same video. And again, you might be catching onto a theme. It was about utilizing scrap fabric pieces because pretty much after any project, you're probably going to find that there's an awkward amount of material left over. Sometimes you can chop that down and use it for padding or stuffing within other things. Or maybe you might have enough that you can turn it into projects like this. First up is this banner. Again, in the tutorial, you can see there are many different ways that you can stylize this. I think you might on the edge of the camera be able to see the one that I've got in the back of the front door. I've also got one here that is a bit more of like a boho style. It's got some little fringe details, or you can add some cute quotes like this, or obviously a business name or something. Maybe this can hang up in my new studio that I might be looking at this afternoon. Next up is just the classic old tote bag. For this one, I wanted to create some longer straps because then you can put it over like this to a bit of like a crossbody style, or just wear it as normal. Again, I'm pretty sure with any of these projects you can customize it to the size and the material that you have left over, or just what you might be needing in your life. That is the freedom and the beauty of DIY. And I was able to add my branding onto it, which is so fun. What other goodies do we have in here? Next up is this little pencil slash makeup bag. It features a zip up the top as well as a box finish, which is similar to the tote bag. Essentially, it just means you've added these extra sewing lines in there, so when you have stuff in there and you sit it down, it gives it more of a flat surface on the bottom. I tend to store like my camera gear and stuff in here when I go traveling, so a great essential. I was gonna call this an eye patch. This is my me-made eye mask. It's kind of got like a scrunchy finish at the back, so you can stretch it out to fit over your head, and the front is just a regular eye mask like that. It's got a few layers in there, so it gives it obviously the light block out as well as a nice padding to sit on your face. I've just always wanted one of these, and now I'm again just going to probably throw it in my travel bag. Perfect for a plane or a road trip, or if you just want to have a day nap, slip this on. Believe it or not, I have been sewing for, what year are we in? Almost 14 years. That is wild. And last year was my first attempt at a scrunchie, and this is her. She's very cute, practical. I don't really put my hair up as much anymore, but when it grows out, this bad boy will be going straight on. This is such a fun little goodie pack. I think the last two in here. This was a double take on how to create a bandana or headscarf. This one is just a smaller triangle, and then it's got a bias binding finish. So the bias binding actually doubles up as the tie feature. I feel like when I made this with long hair, it particularly suited me and I liked it. With short hair, it's a bit too cutesy, personally. I don't know. For some reason, Darcy really suits it, and I'm really mad at him. So this is then just a full square, which is then folded into a triangle and then can be placed on as a bandana or headscarf, whatever you want to call it. Or even you could even roll it up and wear a little neck scarf like that. The very, very last thing I'm going to show you is this simple pillowcase. It's got a overlapping back edge, so you just slip the pillow in there and then that ends up sitting on top of each other and you don't see the inner pillow section, and then that would be the front. I guess any of these last ones are great beginner ones. This in particular is literally just sewing a few straight lines and will probably help get your head around like how things are assembled, working with seams, finishing edges, and you know, it's not that big of a disaster if you don't sew a line straight or cut something straight or make a silly little accident. It happens a lot. Anyway, that is my roundup of 2022 makes. I'm so excited to jump into this year's creations. I've got an overflowing list already, so my goal is to be a lot more productive and consistent, so hopefully you'll see me here a lot more. Let me know below if you might have a little favorite from this collection, or even if you've got some requests that you might want to see. I'm always open to hearing what you guys are seeking, as I am sharing it for you guys to hopefully follow along. Thanks so much again for the past year of support and love and feedback and everything. It always means a lot that you're here. And if you've made it this far in the video, extra gold star for you. That is some dedication and I appreciate it so much. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in the upcoming videos. Bye.